What direction should we take this?
We can take this any direction we want, Nick. We have flex arms. We can go left, right, up, down, back and forth.
He's right.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming back to another episode of What's Up with Nick and Chuck. On today's show, we're going to take and discuss with you some options and features around arms.
Today we've got a variety of arms that Chuck and I are going to dive into, and why don't we start today with talking about some of the standard arms, then we'll go into some custom arms.
Sure, so like some of the standard arms that we utilize here at HUI are going to be very widely from a number of different manufacturers and suppliers, and in some instances we're developing our own custom arms for applications that don't currently have something on the market that's going to be sufficient for what those uses are. Now, the majority of the arms that you see up here today are all standard off-the-shelf arms that we have made some modifications to in some way. This one right in front of me, for example, is a flex arm from Moffett Products. This flex arm, for example, is very versatile in the sense that you can clamp it right to the side of any basic work surface, and you can take and position it in any way that you need it. In this case, this one was set up to house ventilator tubes for a ventilator application.
There are standard flex arms that you can get in terms of diameter, but you can also customize in terms of the rigidity of this. So for example, if you have a device that weighs 10, 15 pounds, or versus a device that weighs a pound, you can get different variations of strength in terms of your flex arm. So this one you can see is quite flexible and very loose, would hold a much lighter device on the end of it, where the arm that Chuck has in front of him, you could put a little bit larger device on the end of it because of the rigidity of that arm.
Flex arms tend to be a cost-effective solution. However, they're very limiting in what their function is because of the weight limits that they can house. Now, in most applications, you are going to see arms that are used to house monitors. So two of these examples that we have mounted to the cart right now are housing two VESA mounts. Both of these arms, for example, have some range of movability for that monitor, whether it be tilt and pan or height adjustability. This one, for example, it has a fixed height that can be adjusted with a tool. However, this one does still retain the tilt and pan feature for that monitor. In other applications, you're going to be needing arms to house different pieces of equipment for your application. You know, like I had mentioned with the ventilator tube, this was another potential solution that we had identified for that same purpose, as well as this one, which incorporates both the fixed arm as well as the flex arm features onto the end of this arm itself. So this one does lock into place, has the fixed positioning, but then has finite adjustability in the flex arm at the end of this arm.
Some of the other things that we've done or have seen done when it comes to arms is when it comes to like a standard arm like this, you have the opportunity to make adjustments for ease of motion, but there's also some custom machining and other features, which again just allows you to do some more customization in terms of the pressure and how much strength needs to be here for whatever device you're lifting up and down.
You know, related to some of that customization that Nick is talking about, that's also going to lead into the complexity of the arm itself. So this one right here is actually a great example of one that needed to fit a couple different purposes. This particular cart, for example, houses a laptop on this adjustable shelf that gets mounted to it. The user or the surgeon in this application is going to be utilizing the laptop to look at the screen. Above the laptop was a camera mount right here. It was identified that the camera wasn't close enough to the patient in order for the tracking system to work properly. So basically we had to take and develop a camera extension arm. This camera extension arm, which I have one that's removed from the cart right here, is adjustable to take and swing out and lock that camera into position where the user needs it to be. However, this application added another level of complexity because it needed to include cable management. Some applications for arms need to include cable management. You know, when it comes to a flex arm like this, there is opportunities that you can take and run cables through the center of the flex arm, have them come out at the end. In other cases, you'll see another coated line wrapped around the top of the flex arm itself to house it. In this case, added level of complexity, different features to house that cabling, and then the hardware to fasten the cover plates in place. I think that there's a fine line between function and complexity on that, and it's all relating to basically what that price point is or what the company or customer is willing to pay. So in some cases, you will see a monitor arm as the first example that we gave. Something like this that's fixed height is going to be relatively inexpensive. Something with a lot more machine components and adjustability is going to be a little bit higher in that price point.
And then as you start to look at more custom arms, these are two examples of carts that we developed those arms. These are not off-the-shelf arms, your typical spring load type system. This arm here is set up with friction hinges in it as well as a gas spring, and so those arms are going to be a little bit more expensive because there's a lot of customization that went into those and machining and some thought around cable management. And so depending on your budget, depending on your application that you're looking for, you can go down a custom path. We encourage people to consider looking at standard options, but when the standard doesn't justify what you're looking for, we obviously can take you down a path of doing custom type arms.
So that basically covers everything for today's show on what we wanted to discuss with you regarding arms. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at our website at www.medicalcarts.org. Check us out on LinkedIn, and you can feel free to click the link in the description below.
Thank you, everyone.